We're going to walk through the Sound Devices 833 menu systems and give you an overview of the capabilities of what this unit can do. So I have a CSM1, Sanken CSM1. I have it plugged into channel 2. And then I have a WYSICOM MCR54 transmitter, receiver rather, that is going into channel 1. Okay? So we're going to play around with those two things and we're going to get some level going into the unit. And then we're going to walk through how it all works. Just so we know before we get started, we're late 2025 when I'm recording this, and we are on version 11.01 firmware. So everything that you're going to see is based on that. And I am going to get this CSM1 input into channel 1. But before I do that, I'm going to arm channel 1, and on here what you do is you use this dial here and you press the arm. But I can't do that until I actually activate the channel. So if I turn this knob over here and activate the channel, it's gray, you can see it there, because the meters are set to gray out channels that aren't armed by default. So let's arm that now that it's activated, and you just go to the channel and press down this knob and press arm at the same time. Now you can see the channel 1 is armed, and we're going to activate, we're going to record now. So we go to channel 1, and we can see that we are set to microphone input 1 on mic level, phantom power. Okay, so let's get a level on this microphone. Go back to channel 1. Check, check, 1, 2, check, 1, 2, check, check, 1, 2. Okay, got a level on that. And you can hear that mic now. So for the rest of this video, you'll be listening to the CSM1 through this channel 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get some level going into input 2, just to show you what that looks like. So if I go to input 2, you can see that we're set to XL AES 1, which I have set to my first receiver on my WYSICOM MCR54. And I am going to send tone out of this. So I'm going to go into my WYSICOM and I'm going to find the tone. Believe it is under RX1. Go down to the bottom. Go to audio. Go down to the bottom. Turn on calibration tone. So once I turn that on, now that transmitter is sending tone to channel 2. So if I take this trim knob and I turn it up, you can hear tone. Put that up to -20. Okay, so if we go back to our meters, we can see that we have my microphone going into channel 1, and we can see that we have tone going into channel 2. Now, one of the things I really like about the 833 is I can arm a channel while it's in record mode. So in order to do that, I'm just going to go over to channel 2 with my selector, and I'm going to press down and hit arm. So what that did, you can see up here, it added an A to the audio recording, and it started a new file automatically when I pressed arm on that. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And then right now I don't have any of my channels going to the left and right. They're just recording isolated right now. So if I want to, I could put channel 1 over here. So that's channel 1. Go back to my meters, sorry. I can turn this guy up into the main mix, and then you see how high it is in the main mix. I could put this tone in the mix if I wanted to, but we're not going to do that because tone is annoying. So for now, we're just going to turn off that tone channel. And that, you can see that it started another new file. So anyway, so that's the real basics of getting signal into this unit. One of the cool things about the 833 is that you can send different recordings to different destinations. So the internal 256 gig SSD can record a certain set of things, and then each SD card can record a certain set of things. So that means you could send left-right record to internal ISOs to an SD card and buses to an SD card if you wanted to. And you can also change the format that goes to those different destinations. So you can send waves, MP3s, you name it. You can send any different number of combination of tracks plus format. It's pretty cool. Let's just start by breaking down what you can do on a channel strip. So if I go in to my channel 1 strip, you can see that I have a lot of options. On every channel strip, you start off with a readout of what your trim is and your fader, and then you can see that you have any number of sources that you can select from. This is where you pick what source is coming in and what, if it's mic, line, or phantom. Go back to the screen. Okay. Then you can see that you can do some stereo linking. You can link channel 1 and 2 if you want to do some stereo fun. And then I keep doing that. Okay, back to channel. Then you have low cut, turn on or off, and you can range this up all the way up to 320. So you can see that there's quite a range there, and it goes up and down in increments of 10. Then you have channel delay, turn on and off. So if you're doing a situation where you need to synchronize microphones that have slight delay to them, like a lav and a boom setup sometimes does that. And then you have compressor. You can see here you have traditional controls. So if I turn this on, you can see you have traditional controls for threshold, ratio, knee, attack time in milliseconds, and release time in milliseconds. Pretty awesome if you ask me. Okay, go back to the screen. And then down here, we'll go to EQ. So then EQ is next. You can see that you have a traditional EQ, 3 bands, I believe it is. Yeah, low frequency, mid frequency, high frequency. And you can do an EQ curve here, right on the mixer. Pretty awesome. Okay. And then this is where you would turn on or off to adding this channel to auto mix. And then it's grayed out right here, but this is where you would turn on and off adding this channel to noise assistance, noise suppression. This is where you can send this channel to the left and right and the buses, if you wish. You can send pre, post, or send, which means whatever level you want. So pre-fade, post-fade, and then whatever level you want. Okay, and then when you look at this bottom strip down here, this is where you turn on your slate mic, and then you can mute the channel, and then you have left, center, right panning, and you activate that with the switch. And then this is where you would turn channels on or off for arming. It's another way to arm the channel. It's the same as this screen here, just a different implementation. So there's nothing different about arming a channel. It's just whether you do it here or you do it in the channel screen. So if you look at the rest of the menu system, there's a lot of options in here. So this mixer can be run off of lots of different power options. It can be run off of internal L-series batteries. It can be run on external DC power, either through something like what I have up here with my audio route, or plug it into the wall. And you can set this thing up to switch when power sources change, which is pretty awesome. You can tell it what to do when you're charging. You can also say how many milliamps go out on the USB-C port, because the USB-C port provides power. Channel setup. This is where you can go in and change the different settings for how you want PFLs to work. You can group channels together, which is a whole different thing that I have never had on my MixPre. And this is where you can change the gain level that you're going to listen to your PFLs at.
and how you would set up your stereo workflow, and then talking about whether or not you want to activate infinity trim. I like having infinity trim on. Channels 7 and 8, these are the additional inputs that are coming in on the 3.5 millimeter jack on the right. So it's a mini input jack, and it allows you to bring in 2 additional channels. They're assigned as channels 7 and 8. You have the same functions except for the fact that those channels can't provide phantom power. So they cannot provide phantom power. Okay? Buses are pretty flexible on the 833. Every one of these bus screens allows you to pick and choose the things that you want to send out. Okay? So all of these bus screens are similar. Okay? The actual buses that aren't the left and right have more options here. So you can see all of the different things you can do here, which is a little more intense than the left and right. Okay. And then on the output side, this is where you can assign physically what is going out on the output ports. Okay. So you can change independently of what's going to the buses. You can change actually what's going out. So if you wanted to just say single channel goes out this and a single channel goes out this and all that good stuff. Really flexible. And then you have 2 USB outs that you would use potentially to go to a computer for streaming or recording. And then you can set up how you want your playback to work. When you actually play back a file, do you want it to go all outputs or do you want to go to headphones only? And then you can have a whole host of headphone presets, like 12 headphone presets. And you can do things in these presets that, really customizable. So if I hit edit, you can see that I can put very specific things to these headphone presets. And then when I'm on the main screen, getting access to the presets is very simple. You just press down on this rotary over here on the right, and you can choose which listening experience you want. Okay. Go back to menu. Limiters. This is where you can set up how your limiters behave on the buses versus the channels. So you have different settings for channels and buses. So if you want your thresholds and settings to be different when you're on a bus, okay, which you definitely would. You would want that to be a little different sometimes. And then you can turn on the limiter and off at the channel level. So if you want a certain channel to not have limiting, you can do that on this. Auto mixing. This unit comes with 2 auto mix engines built in. Comes with Dugan or Mix Assist. So this is where you would turn it on or off. Okay. Just come over here, and if you say I want to use Dugan, go to enable it, and then you can select down here which channels you want to put in to the mixing system. And then noise suppression is a very similar menu. I have 4 channels of noise suppression installed. So this is where if I enable it, then I can, oh, you just heard it change there. Yeah, because I think it's set to do a little bit of noise reduction on channel 1. So let me roll that up and down, tell you what, so that you can see what that sounds like. So if I go to channel 1, okay, go over here, noise assist. Okay, so as I roll this button. So as I roll that down, click, roll it down, you can hear that it's taking away some noise. Very nice plugin, by the way. Very nice. All right, let's go back to menu. And I'm going to turn off my auto mix just because I don't want it on at the moment. I'm going to turn off my noise suppression. Turn that off. Okay. In the meter menu, you have quite a bit of... In the meter menu, you have a lot of flexibility to affect the way the meters are. Okay. You can change the meter ballistics, VU plus peak hold, PPM plus peak hold. How long did the peaks stay? How detailed you can zoom in to the meters. It's pretty awesome. You can say if you want to show the track names or not. And whether or not the meters are gray when you're not in record mode. Okay. Time code. You have a lot of options here. While I'm in record mode, I can't show you a lot of it, but you can see here you have a lot of options. The main thing that I use this mixer for is I use it to jam. So I jam my time code with this mixer. So you can come in here. I don't have anything plugged into it, but if you plug in a system, it'll show you it's receiving it. It'll show you the difference. And then you can use the function down here to do jam. Okay? But you can't jam while you're recording. Very flexible. The time code comes in on a LEMO pin. LEMO 5 pin. Okay. In the files, again, while we're recording, you can't do all of this stuff, but you can see that you can arrange files, you can rename folders, you can format drives, you can do all sorts of stuff in this files menu. Slate and comms, this is where you can identify what your slate mic is, whether it's an internal or an external. The internal mic is over here next to channel 1. It's a little 3 holes. That's the slate mic. I use it to talk to people in the headsets and stuff like that. So this is where you can route all of that. And you can route your slate and your cam returns and all of that stuff, okay? And then down in the system menu, there's a whole nother host of things. So this is where you can set up your tone, where that's going. You can turn on notification bells for things, change the level, all that good stuff. Change the functions of the screen. There is a daylight mode. We'll see if it renders properly on the camera. So I'm going to say yes. See if you can see it. Yeah, you can still see that. So it turns the whole mixer into a daylight mode, which was a feature that they didn't have in it for a while, honestly. This was a late add over firmware, if I remember right. And for a context, we are on firmware version 11.1. I'm going to change that back. System, display. I do not want daylight mode on anymore. Turn that off. Hit OK. All right, cool. Sweet. So go back to system, and then we have a whole series of things you can do where you can change all of the toggle switch functionality for what you want everything to do. It's extremely customizable for key combinations you can do with these toggle buttons. It's really customizable. And then same thing, you can set what the PFL switches do. Okay, it's really great. And then headphone volume, can change it to be either volume first, preset second, preset first, volume second. Can lock the headphone volume if you want. For Bluetooth, you can connect a lot of extra stuff to it, like external keyboards and things like that, which I don't have anything like that going into it yet. And then the expansion port I have currently active because that's using the XL AES input. Okay. And this version information and stuff like that. All right. Another cool thing that I really like about this mixer is the functionality that you have in changing the meters around. So if I go, there's presets that are loaded into it. So you can see that you can change the channel strip layout. Plus you can change it to be horizontal, if you like horizontal. Back over here. Yeah, so this is like 1 through 8 horizontal. And then 1 through 3 horizontal. Then you can see your buses horizontal. So it's extremely flexible in the way that it works. Okay. I'm tending to use this, you know, but I like how I can change it around. One of my favorite presets is this left and right 1 to 3 horizontal. So just simplifies how many channels are being displayed. So on a simple interview day, I can just use this mode and see. So I really like the size of this screen as well. I really like how big the screen is and how detailed and high resolution it is. It's a considerable improvement from the MixPre series. Okay. So put that back to 1 through 8. One of the marquee features that I really appreciate about the 833 as it compares to the MixPre or some Zoom recorders is the complete flexibility that you have to route any channel to any fader. Okay. So inside the channel strip, for example, you can select anything really. So you can say, I would like to make this channel receive whatever you have available, and I can move things around. That is an extremely helpful feature on this mixer. It really helps you stay organized, and it really helps you create a more seamless experience when you're mixing, because the channels 1 through 6 are not tied to the physical inputs. So you can put whatever you want on fader 1, fader 2, fader 3. So really like that about the 833.
That functions a lot like the routing that you can do on a traditional mixer, like an X32 or an Allen & Heath or a Yamaha. Traditional mixer with faders that we'd use for front of house. So stepping up to a mixer like this definitely is going to involve a considerable more head knowledge of exactly what all these things do, right? And it is more complicated than a MixPre. It can do a lot more, but with that comes a lot of complication, and with that flexibility comes, with the possibility of making lots of mistakes. So you just got to be on your game when you're upgrading to something like this and making sure that you read up on it and you study up on it, because this can get you into trouble if you're not paying attention. So I hope you appreciate this menu walkthrough. There's 2 more videos on the channel that talk about my transition from the MixPre to the 833. There's unboxing and comparison of the 2 units physically side by side. Then I have a whole video of me putting this together in the bag. And then I have this video, which helps you learn more about the menu system. So I'm glad you watched to the end. I really appreciate it, and we will catch you in the next one.